Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Chef Yusuf show, where we learn to cook the Islamic way. Stir frying. Stir frying is a Chinese cooking method similar to sauteing, but instead they use a wok, or they call it a chow. Right? So in today's episode, I'm going to teach you the most basic and simple way to stir fry. And this is one of the things that you will learn once, and it will stay with you throughout your cooking career. So by tonight, you should be able to go to your kitchen and prepare a stir fry meal, a very delicious meal to you and to your family. And if you don't know what a stir fry dish is that dish when we were kids we used to see the Chinese men eating it with two sticks, and we were fascinated, how can they eat with two sticks, right? So speaking of children, we will cover the topic of fasting and children in the month of Ramadan. And the question is, should we allow children to practice fasting in the month of Ramadan? And what is the sunnah of children and fasting in the month of Ramadan? So stay tuned, inshallah. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, Bismillah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share with you the sauce of stir fry, and I'm going to show you the ingredients that I'm going to go ahead and stir fry. So for the protein, I did use chicken. You can use lamb, you can use shrimp. Shrimp are really amazing because they are the perfect size to stir fry. So as for the chicken, I did cut one chicken breast across the grain, so this way it will have the most tenderness. So regarding the sauce now, let's go ahead and prepare the sauce. The sauce is one of the most important thing in the stir fry, because if you attempted to do a stir fry and it does not taste like the restaurant stir fry, that's because you did not add starch. So the scientific combination is a similar amount, like 1 tablespoon of soy sauce and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, right? You add 1 cup of water and you go ahead and mix all of these. You mix them together. And you add sesame oil. Sesame oil is what gives that authentic stir fry taste, right? Sesame oil. We should add some sesame oil. And for flavoring, I'm going to add some extra chicken cube. You know, that flavored chicken Maggi cube, right? The interesting thing about these things is they all already contain starch in it. So there is starch content in this. They are full of flavor. So we'll go ahead and try to break it. Usually I use the powder. I don't have the powder because they're difficult to buy the halal version of the powder, so we try to make it tiny. So we'll put it in this sauce. We'll put the sauce aside. We'll try to mix it a little bit. I know you can't get the Maggi or the chicken cube to dissolve, but don't worry about it. So we'll go ahead and put this aside. And as for the wok, we'll go ahead and add some sesame oil. And how much do we put? Do we want to deep fry them? No, we want to put some sesame oil, so the bottom of the wok will be covered with oil. We'll put the heat all the way up. By the way, we want to heat this to the point that it almost is going to smoke. How do we know it's going to smoke? Well, you keep moving the oil around, and when you see, how do you say, the best way I can explain it is, you know, when you mix Sprite with water, you can see the sugar, how it dissolves. It becomes like, you see lines. When you start seeing lines, this is approximately the time it's going to burn. So we'll go ahead and add our chicken first. And this is one of the things that you have to keep adding one on top of the other, okay? And the method of this dish is 2 things. One is not to overcook your vegetables. I know there are some people who like to, they are like recipes, you do have to overcook them, maybe steam them, cover the wok. People like it that way, that's fine. But traditionally, I'm talking about the way the Chinese and the Asian cuisine, the way they eat it. I used to have Asian family, trust me, I know what I'm talking about. You don't want to cook the vegetables more than 2 minutes. You want to, when you eat the stir fry with the chopsticks, you want to have a little bit freshness and not fully cooked and fully melted, right? So this is one of the things that we have to keep in mind. As you can see, the oil is almost hot here, it's almost burning. So we'll go ahead and start with the chicken. Okay, we put the chicken first because we wanted to get it cooked all the way, because when we put the other ingredients, we don't want to have the other ingredients cooked all the way. So this way we can get the chicken well done. And for the spicing for the chicken, we're gonna add some 5 spice. 5 spice you should be able to find. If you cannot find 5 spice, it's not something that you have to die about, and you don't have to go specifically to the store and buy this and just leave it in the closet for 5 years and not use it. You can use this all the time. So if you don't think that you can use this, you know, you can skip on the 5 spice, but we want to spice the chicken. And as you can see here, the chicken is cut in slices. You know, we sliced the chicken thinly. The way we sliced everything else, we sliced the bell peppers, you know, in a julienne method. We're gonna show you some cutting techniques, but we want to have a consistency of the vegetables that we cut, right? So whatever vegetable you want to add to your stir fry, just make sure you slice them in a long stick format. It's called the julienne cut, right? So we have our bell pepper, you know, have a really nice a nice fillet, right? So what we want to do, we're gonna go ahead using the rocking motions method. We're gonna go ahead and cut the bell pepper into long sticks, so you know when we eat them, when we cook them and eat them, we can like hold them with the chopsticks, right? So this is what we are looking for. If you have carrots, you go ahead and try to slice the carrots in that way. As for the ingredients for what to stir fry, we can use anything available in our pantry, you know. The reason I chose these vegetables is because they are the vegetables in season. They're the vegetables that I found on sale for a good price, right? So whatever, you know, is available in your locality, whatever is seasonal, try to pick the freshest, you know, vegetables that you can find. You can put green pepper, you can put asparagus, you can add some carrots, some onions, and some celery. You can saute these three and you can make a stir-fry French Méripoire like invention, right? So this is something for you to be innovative and look in the kitchen and see what you have in your pantry, what you have in the fridge, right? And if you see a few items, 1, 2 items, 3 items, you can really make a nice meal for you and for your family. This is what cooking is all about, right? You want to have a nice presentation, a nice eye appeal, and this is what a great chef does. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to cook the chicken all the way so it will be fully done, and this way we can add everything else and we don't have to worry about undercooked chicken, because the vegetables, we don't want to overcook them, as you're gonna see. The most important thing with stir frying is the fundamental of sauce. The idea is that you have to put a thickening agent, and in this case we have to put some starch, right? You don't have to put starch, but it's recommended to put starch because that's authentically, but you can put a different thing. But today we're going to talk about the starch thickening agent. If you don't, you can add some protein thickening agent like hummus, right? You can actually add hummus, and this also can work as your thickening agent. So the fundamentals of sauce is what will make or break this any stir fry, right? If you have a if you've been doing stir fry and there's something missing that you can't understand, it's because you're not adding starch, right? So we want to make sure that the chicken is fully cooked, is light brown, right? We don't want to undercook the chicken because we don't want to keep these vegetables cooking for too long to allow the chicken to cook. So make sure the chicken is fully cooked, which I believe they are fully cooked. I'm gonna put, I forgot the broccoli. We want to put the broccoli. Do I have to put the whole thing? No, put whatever makes sense to you. Put whatever you feel right for your proportion. I'm gonna put as much as I want of mushrooms, and I'm gonna add also the other vegetables one by one. And you want to set up your timer. You want to put this for approximately 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you want to see if they are cooked but not to the point where the vegetable is melted. All right, so at the point when we feel the vegetables are becoming a little bit softer, just a little bit, but they're still, you know, crunchy when you bite them, this is where you want to add the stir fry. Make sure you shake it well because the starch is all the way in the bottom. So we'll go ahead and add this. And talking about the science of thickening agents, what is happening now, that when we heat up the starch, you know, it starts to thicken our sauce. So depending on how much we cook this, it depends on how much thick it's gonna get. If you put too much starch and you cook it for too long, it becomes like pudding. So we don't want it to be like pudding. We want the sauce to be to the point is when it's on the spoon and we move our finger, it shouldn't come back All right, it should be a little bit thick. So we're gonna go ahead and cook this. Okay, now what can we eat stir fry with? You can eat it with variety of things. You can do it with noodles, you can do it with rice, sticky rice, Chinese rice. You can, if you don't want to add some chicken, you can add some tofu, or you can have some benoit with instead of rice. You can add it, you can eat it with couscous, right? So there's a lot of ideas and a lot of things that you can eat your stir fry with. And really, when you go to all different cultures, it is interesting to see these versions of stir fry. You know, I have family in Jordan, right? And in the national dish of Jordan is a national dish is rice with some meat on top of it, right? So when they cook Chinese food, they tend to do the same thing. They put rice and they put everything on top of it, and the stir fry is fully cooked all the way. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off. Regarding the thickness, if you want to have it too thick, you're going to go ahead and slide your finger on a spoon, and if it's too thick, usually stir fry is less thick. You don't want to have it like pudding, right? But again, it depends on how your taste is and how do you like it and how do you like to eat it. I'm going to go ahead and present it in a plate. By the way, this is not the same plate that used to be the chicken. You guys got to be careful because you get really sick if you use the same plate with the raw chicken, right? So I'll show you the ingredients. See how the sauce is really nice and thick. This show is about teaching you how to cook. It's not about following the recipe and following step by step. You can discover and learn yourself and see what you can do. And this is our version of stir fry. Now, since we are done, let's go ahead and change the topic a little bit and talk about children and fasting in the month of Ramadan. Now, children technically do not have to fast in the month of Ramadan, right? But in Sahih Muslim, if we look at the book of Sawm, the book of Siyam, we see two hadiths that talk about when the Sahaba, what they used to do, they used to make toys out of wool for the children, and they used to take these toys to the masjid, and they want their children to practice fasting, right? So they let them practice fasting, and when the children ask for food, they give them these toys, and they give them distracted from food, and they allow them to play until dawn or until the iftar time. So they will all eat together, and this is to let them practice before the obligations start, before they grow up and it becomes obligation for them. So this is the sunnah of the Sahaba. That's how they used to do it. There's interesting things about this hadith. One of the things that I find fascinating is the idea of they used to make toys and they used to take it to the masajid, right? And this is a lesson for our elder people to be patient with the children, especially in the month of Ramadan. We have to allow them to play in the masajid. Give them, be patient with them, because we don't want to yell at them and make them hate the masjid and ever coming again to the masjid. So this is one lesson we learn. The other lesson we learn is what type of games should we allow our children to play? Should we allow them to play video games, Counter-Strike, Halo, and because the video games, they take you to another space. They allow time to pass quickly. So this is a good question. I really do not know. This is a good question that we can talk about and have a discussion about. Me personally, what I like to do with my family is I like to get the games that builds their creativity. And some of the things that I found is painting, drawing, crafting, right? And the other thing is Lego, that small technical Lego, the one that comes with wheels, and you can just build and just build your car and build whatever. Just use your imagination. This is what I like to do to pass some time. This is a nice discussion, talk about what type of games that we use. But regarding children and fasting, you can make something out of chopsticks. Since we are dealing with stir fry, we can show them something with chopsticks, and this is a good time to teach our children about the Muslims in Asia, the Muslims in China, the Muslims in Burma. There is 20,000 Muslims. They were slaughtered just in the recent days, and even the media is silent. Even the Muslim media is silent about it, right? Subhanallah, this is amazing. The silence of the media, the silence of the West, the silence throughout the world about, Subhanallah, right? So we have to remind our children we do have some brothers and sisters, and we have to cancel the silly nationalities. Let's unite the ummah, inshallah, and let's allow our children to have the belief that the ummah is only one ummah, and all of these flags are flags made by United Kingdom after World War II. It's a nice lesson to have with your children. So inshallah, we'll make dua for the people of Burma. We'll talk and share about the prosecution that's happening in China and Burma for our Muslim brothers and sisters. So وآخر دعوانا والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين يا رب العالمين. I hope you enjoyed today's dish. We'll talk to you next time. Until then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.